finance is not a very easy sector. So if you are just going with the herd and with the flow, you might end up in a situation where you realize that it's not the sector for you.
I would suggest everybody to have some sort of work experience, because once you enter the corporate, you actually get the gist of how the real world is, and it will help you decide whether you want to pursue in the direction which you are going at, or would you like to just switch lanes and pursue another direction from there. As most of my peers and pretty much everybody in India, I decided to pursue my bachelor's in technology in computer sciences. But the silver lining is that the entire world today, be it the financial services, be it the IT industry, be it your FMCG, is pretty much run on tech. And the other beautiful part of that is that despite having a tech degree, I ended up working with Byju's, the educational technology firm, in their business development department. While I did that, I realized that I pretty much reached the ceiling in terms of sales and that experience where I wanted to be. And parallelly, I started understanding the world of finance and the art of making money from money, and that seemed extremely interesting to me. And I thought MBA is a good way to find a gateway into the financial services world.
The early part of my life was very categorically clear that I want to take out this option for my final career. So I had a very broad base option after I did my undergraduation in finance. I had a generic degree in finance where I tried to explore different subjects, right? So that is when I got a very fortunate opportunity to intern with Ernst & Young in their transaction advisory services, and I was part of the M&A team. So that is what the first opportunity from a Big Four came to me, and that strengthened my calling for finance.
Before the entire summer internship placement started, we were on a journey of preparation wherein we wanted to be prepared with anything and everything that they might throw at us, and also understanding exactly where my strengths are, where my weaknesses are. I believe that we need to acknowledge our weaknesses and understand our strengths and leverage it to overcome your weaknesses. So the preparation was as such that there was a certain amount of self-belief which I had before the day of the interview, and I was just waiting for one chance to sit in front of the interviewer, and I knew that I would get that opportunity, come what may.
The day of the interview was very usual. It started early in the morning. So it was more like other companies that we have in the BFSI sector. We had a very thorough screening process, starting with a CV verification. Then you have a little aptitude test, just a basic one, followed by 2 interviews. One was technical, which tested my finance and operations knowledge, and the last one being the HR round, just to see how flexible and how culturally fit you are for the organization. So it went very smooth. I think I was very prepared for just one opportunity to strike and just give my best. And I think that day, when the end of the day you get the results, that's the zeal when you get through, and that was a commendable day overall.
So that was my first interview experience, and I was so glad to be a part of the Credit Suisse process and to actually clear it, and ended up with the internship at Credit Suisse Pune.
It was honestly a very exhilarating moment when I got to know at the first place that I will get an opportunity to work with one of the top banks in the UK. At the start of the internship, I think I was good enough convinced that this is the organization that I would like to put up my dream to start my career graph, and I worked for it day and night. The project was amazing, the team was amazing, the culture was great. So I knew from the beginning of my stint that this is the place where I have to put in my maximum efforts. And with the flow of the project, and on the day of the final presentation, then having certain conversations with your team and ending it, we were all back on college, the curriculum started and everything. And one fine day you get a notification that you've received a pre-placement offer from the same firm that was your dream back then. So that is when, it was the happiest moment this year. So the first day at our internship was a very memorable day because it was a long one, okay? We started early in the morning, we were all suited up. This was the first time we had a virtual setup for the internship. Though it did not, NatWest never made us realize that we are missing out on opportunities in terms of, networking with any level of executive, or in terms of the work opportunity, in terms of the ideas, they always valued and executed the same. So the first day we had our onboarding process. That is when a lot of people from different business units would interact with you. They made you sit in circles, so that you informally interact with your fellow interns, other colleagues, and listen from people of great responsibilities. And the network chain was very meticulous again in terms of the mentors being assigned to us, the buddy system that was in place. So the first day was very fun, and it was a lot interaction based than work based.
There were definitely a few challenges there. First being the more, obviously, in an offline mode, you can actually walk up to anybody and ask for help in a very informal and a very less time-bound manner. Whereas in an online world, everybody is extremely busy with their own set of schedules and meetings, and you have to borrow time. And it takes a bit of courage also to ask somebody who's really important to give their time to, help you understand very trivial things. But that is also a very important part of the learning process, and I swallowed up that part of me which was very hesitant to ask questions or ask trivial questions. And secondly, when I have just done 1 year of my MBA, where the maximum potential of the course is spending in the second year, and coming from a tech background, so there was a lot of pre-work that I had to do before I started my day, in order to be up to date with all those folks who have been studying finance or business management since their undergrad itself.
So we had a couple of broad challenges, starting with the primary one. That was, we were amidst a pandemic situation, and so networking was a major challenge. But I think being in the placement committee at IMT Ghaziabad, I already had a know-how of how to connect, parallelly between different sectors. So I went across, took effort over Skype, over their intranet, and other places, and tried to connect with as many people as possible during the stint of 8 weeks. Other than that, a technical challenge that arose between the stint was regarding my knowledge of operations and technology. Since I come from a non-tech background, I was required to work on certain automations, robotics, artificial intelligence projects. So I had to reach out to my professors. They suggested me a couple of courses in Six Sigma for operations, and a couple of alumni connects from NatWest Group who could help me out with, the macros of the Python projects. These were some coding bits. So that was manageable enough, and we went across that.
So I think the first and the most basic is asking questions, right? When you ask questions, when you are not shy of going up to somebody and asking about things that you do not understand, it displays a sense of curiosity that you have towards the organization, towards the projects that you are working on, and towards the people as well, right? And that was one thing which gave me a huge push, because one conversation leads to the others, and just from asking a simple trivial question, I ended up learning 4 or 5 things within those particular conversations as well. Apart from that, consistency is something that is really important, because you just have 2 months time to prove your worth, and you have to be bang on for your buck every day, and ensure that you deliver what you are expected to deliver, and sometimes beyond as well. Those are few things which I think I did well, and I ended up with the pre-placement offer from Credit Suisse.
Professionally, I think the NatWest Group actually transformed me as a person. Not just the summer internship as such, because the kind of work that I got to experience during the stint was enriching enough for me to explore various fields in a bank. They were not only restricted to the domain of finance that I already had expertise in, but I also ventured out in a field of operations, also in a greater field of automations, which was more technical to my domain. And personally, I think the internship helped me, acquire certain soft skills, work under various pressured situations, adapt to a different time zone, and the entire banking sector being adapted to a virtual mode now, because we've seen certain advancements in this entire sector now taking place. All the processes of onboarding and otherwise have been now virtual. So that were certain transformations, and personally also it helped me to a greater extent.
So the first step starts with you. You need to understand what are the things that you are good at, what are the things you want to improve at, and what are the things that you would not like to go towards as well. That, you know, minimizes the options which you have. And IMT did that for me because I was not looking to get into sales again. I wanted a finance program. I wanted to get into the world of the financial services. And from there as well, I had 2 courses to choose from, either the PGDM Finance or the PGDM Banking and Financial Services Super Specialized Program. And given the fact that, you know, I come from a tech background, I wanted to grasp even more knowledge than I possibly can within the 2 years span, and that's why I chose the BFS course, because, you know, it's a very rigorous course. Secondly, the line of career is that I would suggest everybody to have some sort of work experience, because once you enter the corporate, you actually get the gist of how the real world is, and it will help you decide whether, you know, you want to pursue in the direction which you are going at, or would you like to, you know, just switch lanes and pursue another direction from there.
Finance is not a very easy sector, so if you are just going with the herd and with the flow, you might end up in a situation where you realize that it's not the sector for you, because it's challenging in terms of the caliber, the effort that you put, the kind of new skills and the adaptability that you're required to put on a daily basis. So that's about it. I would just advise everybody to do your research very quick. Other than that, you should also try following up a lot of company websites of your interest that allows you to have, follow a little blockchain or an article or even newspapers that would develop your interest. Or if you want to have an easy side, you can also try trading, because that interests a lot of people, and that's how you can go ahead with the same.